Hello to everybody. Good morning, and I hope that you're having a beautiful day, evening or morning. Today in Seattle, the dogwood is blooming just outside my window, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Come on, focus in, camera. There you go. So the beautiful dogwood is just outside, and it looks to be more at the end of the cycle for that. Boo! Yeah, I was going to take more time to clean my room. And then my friend Candy, otherwise known as Lunea, said, "Are you going live?" with 2 question marks. And I was like, "Geez, yes I am." It just takes me some time to get there. And I have a big announcement besides the fact that Tangerine Layla just said hi. Hi Tangerine, how are you? We love you, we miss you. Hi to Spirit Moon, hi to Danny Priest, hi to I Love My Danes, and a big hi to Luna's Muse. And that is who sent this to the channel. So Luna's Muse, who's here and put up the 3 hearts, thank you so much for the donation. We're really excited to finally get into Cunningham's Guide to Hawaiian Magic and Spirituality. So that is a really awesome addition to what we've already been reading, which we're getting through this little book that Tess donated to the channel. And the part that we're at is flower arrangers. No, arrangers. I don't know what arrangers are. Somebody should look up that word. Arrangers. And then after that, some waist knot, banana skins. So some really interesting stuff will be coming up in the Old Wives' Tales and Lore for Gardeners, where we left off. And then for the chapter that we're going to read today, I chose to read, because if we were progressing backwards, the next chapter would have been mirror magic, and then to image magic, and then to tree magic. We did tree magic the other day, so I just went to stone magic, because I have some stuff to talk about there as well. So yeah, everybody, please say thank you, and give Luna's Muse a big hug, so that we're all connected in the community. That way, if one of you guys ever start a channel, you can already be seeing their content, you know what I mean? Some big news is I don't share the exact date of my birthday, because I have a YouTube channel and that would be dangerous. But the first week of June, I'm going to throw myself a YouTube birthday party. And so I want to make sure that everybody comes, and I also wanted to give people time in case they wanted to send something for me to open that day. 5 weeks is plenty of time for it to get here. Or 3 weeks, yeah, because we're going to do it the first week of June. My birthday is the first week of June, I just don't say the day. So yeah, hi Rhythm Spirit, hi Jezebel, hi everybody, hi Amethyst. So yeah, those will be the books that we're reading out of today. We're really gonna just, on this one today, talk about the whole book. Read the back, read the table of contents, read the foreword. Something came up in this book today or yesterday when I was reading through, and it's just a list of all Scott Cunningham's books, and I found one in it that I've never ever even heard of, which is crazy, and it is called, it's his, it's like his autobiography, and it's by David Harrington, the one who co-wrote Magical Household with him. I have Magical Household, but I don't have the, I guess it's like Scott Cunningham's, oh yeah, biography. It's called Whispers of the Moon, a biography of Scott Cunningham by David Harrington and de Tracy Regula. And so anyway, that's one that I really hope that I get. And then I asked my husband for an essential oil distiller, like a steam distill. So I'm excited about my birthday, and I'm excited to throw a YouTube birthday party and have you all come. And the last time I threw a party, I got a bunch of stuff for it, and then nobody came except my husband, because he lives here. And so that was a birthday party for Otis on his first birthday, and I got all the cats' bow ties, and there was a cake, and there was a bunch of fun stuff, but nobody came. And so I don't really throw parties, but I know that a YouTube birthday party, I'll have loads of people show up, so I'm excited about it. That's what I'll be doing for my birthday. I cannot tell you an exact date yet because I have to talk to Simon at Herman's Cave, at the Hermit's Cave, because I was invited to be a part of, drumroll please, this year's 2019 24-hour Tarathon. And I've been holding that secret for like 2 to 3 months since he asked me to be a part of it. But I didn't want to tell anybody because my name wasn't on the bill yet, and I wanted to not, like, give myself bad luck and talk about it before it actually happened. Oh, somebody looked up that word for me. Thanks, everybody. The Arrangers is above. Jen Arranger's above. Arrangers are things that go over vases that allow you to place flowers in nice arrangements. A thing that goes over the vase? Is it like one of those glass balls? You know how in like the 60s and 70s they had those glass balls that they would put either regular or fake flowers into? Is it like that? Yeah, so everybody, I'll be telling you the day. I was so honored to be a part of it and be even invited. And my topic is going to be building your own deck, because I've been doing so much of the Oracle deck and stuff. So Simon and I talked about a couple of topics that I had ideas on, and he said building my own deck would be a great one to do. So I'm excited. And I'll have an hour slot, and there's 24 people in total there. Well, Simon will have 2 of the hours. I have 1, so that's 21 other people. Your birthday's in 6 days, Witchy Susie Q. That's so awesome. Make sure to come on when I go live, and we'll all sing to you. We'll all sing to you. Yes, we will. We'll be like, happy birthday, Susie Q. Happy birthday, Susie Q. Yeah, they posted the ballot of like who's when on somebody else's, I don't know. It's online, and I'm going to resend it to my Skype contacts. So, but there's not a date yet set. So, that I've been able to find. So as soon as I found out the date from Simon, we're going to set a date for our birthday party. And it's, yeah, if you guys want me to see something and you make sure that I read it, put it in all caps. That way I'll try and make sure I get it read. Hey, Freshwater, how are ya? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so lots to talk about. So just be prepared the first week of June. There's a lot going on between the 24-hour Tarathon, and then we're going to have a YouTube birthday party. But we're not going to put those in the same 2 days. So let's say the Tarathon happens on a Friday. I might do my birthday party either on a Wednesday or a Sunday. I'm not going to put it next to something that we all want to be awake 24 hours for. That would be not a good idea. Oh, Screaming Toddler. Do you have a little poppet for your toddler that you could stuff with like lavender and... Oh, you know what? I actually did a working. You should look, go to YouTube, and YouTube, in the YouTube search bar, look up Taxidermy Witch Child Sleep Spell. I also did, or no, I called it an infant sleep spell, but it's for a child of any age really that you can do working with and not have the child in the room. It's just energetic working. And the main reason is for that is because infants and small children, a lot of the stuff that we use, or that I use in particular, is very, very strong. And I wouldn't want an infant or a small child even in the same room as my mandrake or my flying ointment or something like that. But that doesn't mean that you can't energetically work with a very, very small child or an animal or a very old person that's very sensitive. You can't, that's no reason why you couldn't do an energetic working where none of it even touches it and they don't even see it. So yeah, I did 3 infant spells, one for a tooth or an earache, one for sleep, and one for sleep, toothache, and, oh, diaper rash, for like some sort of pain, like a pain that a child would have, generally like a diaper rash. So yes, but look those videos up, because They're quite good freshwater fairies if you need some help with that. Hi, Jan's Life Journey. What a great name you have. It's close to mine. What should we read from first, y'all? Should we read from Earth Power, Old Wives' Lore, or my brand new book that I got, Cunningham's Guide to Hawaiian Magic and Spirituality? My favorite color, well, red, black, and white. Red, black, and white. That's all I'm doing now. I thinned my wardrobe down to just red, black, and white. So I'd have to say red. My favorite color. Screaming Toddler is an awesome band name. So is Diaper Rash. How about Toddler with Diaper Rash? Screaming Diaper Rash. See? Flip for it. You guys are hilarious. Oh, what I want to definitely do on my birthday party is a puppet show. I know I talk about it a lot. I just don't have the time. But on my birthday, I'm going to make time for all the fun stuff. Magical tea. We create our own magical tea. Meanwhile, I'm going to redo that joy tea recipe because it's so good. It tastes like ribbon candy. What else do I want to do on the birthday episode? Probably not the dollhouse, but like make tea, have a puppet party, play with dolls, but not like set up the whole improv doll theater like before. I would like to do that in the future. That one sucked a lot of energy out of me. It's a lot of preparing. Whitney's here! Hi! You love ribbon candy? Me too. It's totally something that is like in a really beautiful glass container on your nan's, you know, in your nan's living room, right in front of the Davenport, you know, which is another word for a sofa. There's this bowl of beautiful candy that's been there for 15 years. And when you try and take one piece out, the whole entire bowl lifts up. And it's like all of a sudden this piece of candy is in itself 10 pounds. Because the glass and all the other candies. And that's just how ribbon candies work. It can't be a choking hazard, Mom, if you can't even get them apart. I don't know. So what should we read first? Hawaii, Earth Power about stones, or Old Wives' Lore for gardeners, starting with arrangements? You tell me. And also, what else would be fun to do on the birthday party? We could play games if... Like, for instance, maybe me and somebody could go on Hangouts and play a board game together. Maybe boring to watch, but fun to do. Hawaii! Thank you for saying something. Someone finally said it. So I'm taking the first thing that was said, which is Tangerine's Hawaii, and then we'll be going on to Jezebel's Choice, the Old Wives' Lore. So again, thank you, Lunas Muse, for purchasing this and getting it to me in 2 or 3 days. What a beautiful, beautiful gift. God bless Amazon for their proficiency, eh? You need hot weather, Tangerine Layla? Well, maybe this will help you feel like it's around you. So first of all, let's look at the cover. This is the brand new book. And, you know, when Luna's Muse looked it up, she said, there's 2 of them. Which one do you want? And I had no idea that there was 2. So I'm actively seeking out the second one. But in the meantime, the one that we've got is Cunningham's Guide to Hawaiian Magic and Spirituality. There's some gorgeous pictures of some, look to be, these are called orchids, right? Some white orchids. And, yes, hi Jen. Hi Gay Named Turtle, how are ya? So now let's look through, and then normally when I give a book to somebody, I write in the front of it. So I just wrote in the front the date that I got it, and then who it was from, and some beautiful symbols. Thank you, I love my Danes. I don't normally do shadow, but I have this beautiful, like, palette of Kat Von D shadow, and I just decided to put some on today. So, yeah, thank you, appreciate it. I don't know how to technically do my own makeup, so any compliments are nice. So now let's talk about... I'm going to read the back and then we're going to talk about the table of contents, go through the index and check that out and see how quality it is, because that's one of my most important parts of a book is the index to me. So on the back, we've got Experience the True Magic of Hawaii. A stunning power lies at the heart of the Hawaiian Islands. With unparalleled beauty, and a rich sense of tradition, Hawaii is truly a world apart, a magnificent culture unmatched in its modes of spiritual expression. Celebrated author Scott Cunningham, who's my father of witchcraft, offers a sociological and historical perspective on the fascinating beliefs and practices of the Hawaiian people before the advent of Christianity. Discover traditional methods of divination, omen reading, and sorcery. Take a close look at the ways of the deities. Learn about social customs, taboos, and superstitions, and see how ghosts and night marchers embody the Polynesian concept of the ever-present human spirit. The spirituality of ancient Hawaii was deeply rooted in the land, the wind, the rain, and the ocean. Cunningham's Guide to Hawaiian Magic and Spirituality will introduce you to its enduring legacy. An enchanting world of myth and magic awaits your discovery. Now here's a little picture of Scotty. Isn't he handsome with his glasses? And this book was $16.99 US, $19.50 Canadian. Scott Cunningham studied the beliefs of pre-Christian Hawaiians for over 20 years before he wrote this book, traveling to Hawaii many times to visit its sacred sites and talk to its people. He authored more than 30 books, both fiction and non-fiction, on a wide variety of subjects. Now, I did not know he did non-fiction. And as I was reading in the front, not only does Scott Cunningham do nonfiction, but he did some pretty racy romance novels. So at some point in my life, I want to have every single book by him. I get obsessed with authors. I just want to have, like, if I fall in love with an author, I want to have every single piece of work that they did, and I want to read it in the order it was written, if at all possible. I really apologize if I'm missing anything that you guys are saying. Remember, if you need me to hear something, just put it all in big giant caps. Okay. Basically I'm going to write out a list of all the books that I've got, and also a list of all the books I've not yet got, for those of you who are interested in, donating to the channel or giving me a birthday gift or something like that, which I'm not asking anyone to do. I'm just asking that you come to my party. That's it. Just please come to my party. So, other books by this author, in case you're not familiar with his workings. I talk about him all the time on my channel, but where's my encyclopedia? I don't have my green book in the room right now, but here's Wicca in the Kitchen by Scott Cunningham. It's also known as The Magic in Food. Magical Herbalism, Earth Power, which is this book we've been reading out of. This is a Scott Cunningham book. Most of what I say, if it has to do with herbalism, came from Scott Cunningham. Thanks, Nello. That's such a kind thing to say. Thank you. So we've also got Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. That's basically my witchcraft Bible. The Magical Household with David Harrington. Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Crystal, Gem, and Metal Magic. The Complete Incense Oil and Brews. The Truth About Witchcraft Today. Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. And so on and so on and so many more. But here's, I think, so and then it says videos, Herb Magic, which is online if you guys want to actually see him do workings, make a tincture, talk about talismans and amulets and things like that. Okay, so now we're going to go through the table of contents and then we're going to read the foreword. The table of contents, there's a linguistic note, there's a preface, so we'll be reading the preface. Part 1 is the people and the deities, and so then there's chapters within that, 5 chapters. Chapter 1 is the land and the people. Chapter 2 is the ways of the deities. Chapter 3 is the gods and the goddesses. Chapter 4 is Pele. I think it's pronounced Pele, but it's P-E-L-E, and I see that pop up a lot in Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. Is everybody doing okay in the chat? I'm assuming yes, because I haven't seen any bold. And then chapter 5 is defied astral spirits. Okay? Or defied ancestral spirits, excuse me. Now, part 2 is aspects of the traditional Hawaiian culture and religion. Okay. And that, so chapter 6 has spiritual power. Chapter 7, taboos. I'm excited to read that. Chapter 8, experts. Chapter 9, shrines and temples. Chapter 10, water, which I'm really excited to read about. Chapter 11, stone. 12, color. 13, plants. 14, dance. 15, Menehune, Menehune, Menehune. Chapter 16 is ghosts and the night marchers. Chapter 5 sounds good, the defied ancestral spirits. I think so too. Nello, I think so too. Why'd your heart break, Lunamuse? Stormy. Little Bunny Flopsy, you could use that storm energy for sure. So part 3 is magic and sorcery. And in that we've got chapter 17, magic. Chapter 18, prophecy and dreams. Chapter 19, divination, spiritual possession, and omens. Chapter 20, birth omens. And chapter 21, contemporary survival of traditional Hawaiian spirituality. Then we've got an appendix, which includes the Hawaiian lunar calendar. And we're going to see how that's different from our lunar calendar. Then in the appendix, you've also got the Hawaiian glossary, which will be good because the Hawaiian language does not have very many letters at all. I think it only has 13 consonants and then all the vowels. So it's quite smaller than our language, and a lot of the wordage at that point will just look like a bunch of mishmash potatoes because there's not a lot to the bulk of the letters. Or at least that's how I feel when I read it. Okay, and then the index. But man, when you speak it, it is such a beautiful language. Okay, so then it just opens up and this has a linguistic note, which starts by talking about the lacked alphabet, which is crazy. So we're going to read the linguistic note, and then we're going to read through the preface, and then part 1 starts. So we'll probably at least read the linguistic and the preface before we get into the books. Y'all want to come with me to the kitchen while I make a cup of tea? Because I need a cup of tea before we... So we've got 26 people here. You probably don't want to come with me to the kitchen. Okay. Let me get some water. I'll be right back. Okay, let's get into a Cunningham and a reading, or a Ruskin and a reading, if you will. Look, I left and more people showed up. So let's, let me just angle myself so I can sit down on my bed and have a seat, and we'll get to reading on this beautiful Hawaiian magic. Did anybody put anything in caps? Are we doing good? Please scroll up, Madam Butterfly said. Okay. Madam Butterfly, can you resend the oh no, I found it. Hi Jen, my son's 17 years old. My son's 17 years old. Friend Michael was buried today. Oh, your son's 17-year-old. Your friend Michael was buried today. Died suddenly of a morphine overdose. Could we please light a candle to help him? Oh, absolutely, Madam Butterfly, absolutely. I'm so sorry. I'm oh so sorry, and let's get that candle rolling for her, and then we'll start in on our reading. All right. So you know, if it's for addiction magic, I would normally do black, but since this person's not living anymore, I'm going to burn a white candle. Tea lights, the good ones that I have, they generally burn for, well, yesterday's burned, that black tea light, we burned for 2 hours. So, if everybody could take a minute and just look at this candle, we're all going to add our energy to it for this person who's just passed. A poor, poor young soul of only 17 years old who was, in this life, this time, was trapped in and taken from us from Morpheus and morphine, and that feeling that a lot of us know, but a lot of us don't know. And if you don't know it, you'd never need to know that feeling. So, let me clear off my desk. Like I said, I was going to clean up before we started, but Miss Linnea was saying, hey! I think she was going to start to fall asleep, so I said, can't let that happen. She needs to be here. And I've been doing art, so all my jewels are in a pile. Let's get this candle going. This is such a, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to accept, and understand, you know, why young people go, right? But for me, I always try and take something from the time that we're able to spend with people. So when young people pass, I always think of what a beautiful gift it was to have them while they were here and what they may have taught us, or me personally. So. We haven't changed her water yet today. Say hello to everybody, Gertrude. You're such a beautiful girl. Look at that beautiful girl. Okay, and then let's just take a minute to just, once I light the candle, I'm going to stand over it. We're just going to take a minute for everybody to be thinking about this child who's transitioning right now from a very difficult life into hopefully what's just going to be absolute beauty from now on. Okay. Let's do some... I am going to do sesame seed, no, let's see, rose seeds. I'm going to be using the seeds of rose hips to put a little bit of herbalism into that candle. And the reason why I'm going to use the seeds from the rose hips is because I want her to have this new beautiful growth in the new life or realm wherever she's at right now. So some really beautiful new growth. And see inside, so if this is a rose hip, this is the thing that like chinchillas eat, or sometimes they're in tea. And it's basically a little oval, and inside the oval, here's one that's broken in half, it holds all the rose seeds. So I've just taken 3 of the seeds and placed them on the candle that I blessed and cleansed with some Florida water. And I always use matches for my workings, if I can, of course. And then before I strike the match, that's kind of when I really start my intention and hold it. Spirit guides be with us while we all say a prayer for this young person who is leaving this life from a very sad overdose of morphine into the next life, into just utter beauty, utter happiness, no more pain, either mental or physical. So mote it be. Okay, so now we're just going to take maybe one more minute and just really hold some quiet time on this thought, okay? And the more energy that we put into this, you guys, the more help that we're giving to each other. And this is what our little family is about, and this is what we do, you know? Righty. Madam Butterfly, thank you for asking. I'm not able to, as a group, we're not able to help each other unless we ask. So I'm really grateful that you asked. And if anybody ever needs a candle lit for something they're going through or a loved one, just say the word, okay? Alright, so we're getting ready to sit down and do some reading out of our Hawaiian Magick and Spirituality book. Right now, we're getting ready and doing that. I got Otis sleeping, so I'm trying not to wake him up. The little monster. Okay. All right. Alright everybody, so if at any point you need me to answer something or look at what you've said, just make sure to put it in all big caps. Lunea says, any offerings today? What do you mean offerings? Like to deities or saints? Yesterday I give Santa Muerte a red apple. Today I'm probably going to give her some joss papers, but she has her altar currently lit with a Santa Muerte candle over there, if you can see it, below the spice rack that has deer hooves. Hi Raven, how are you? You're welcome, Madam Butterfly. Like I say, all you need to do is ask. Oh, any offerings from Otis today? Nope, not today. Not today. He's been a good boy, but none today so far. Usually we wake up to him in the morning, so. Right, Otis? Does everyone want to say hi to Otis? I get him. Come on, Otis. Our friends want to say hi, and guess what? Everybody's going to come to our party this time. I'm going to have you put on the bow tie, but this time everybody's going to come. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming to our party. We love you. Otis, just look at him so I can put you back. Look, buddy. Look at everybody. Otis! Don't step on the computer. Come on, bud. Alright. That's what I get for waking him up anyway. Shame on me. Oh, the furry belly. I know. I just get cat hair stuck in my nose and I can never get it out. Otis Sharon says hi. Lunamia says hi. Sherry Bug says hi. Alright, so let's do the linguistic note from the Hawaiian book. Alright, linguistic note. The Hawaiians lacked an alphabet when they met the Westerners. Memory was used in place of writing or stone genealogies. That is crazy. Did you know that? Until the Hawaiians met the Westerners, everything was from memory? That makes things really powerful there. That, to me, means the stories are very powerful because it's all been word of mouth. It's all been a story that had to be so visualized, you know? When I read a book or when you read a book, let's say the book's on fiction, and it's describing something, I paint a different picture than you do. So I think it's really interesting that their whole system was just based upon storytelling, if you will. And that's sounding a lot like old wives' tales as well, you know. Okay, so sacred stories or myths, technological applications, dances and songs, and magical and religious practices were all done this way. Early missionaries attempted to fit the spoken Hawaiian language into our alphabet. Controversy still ranges over whether the K should be pronounced as a T or as an L. Sound K should have been recorded as a T, and L is an R, as in the word Tahitian. Since this alphabet has been in use for well over 100 years, I've used these preferred spellings as listed in the authority on the subject, Hawaiian Dictionary, from 1986, Pookie and Albert. Still, many Hawaiian sounds are nearly impossible to reproduce from the written words alone. And I think it's talking about, you know how in German, where there's, it looks like a U and there's two dots over it? There's almost no way to even explain that to somebody of a different language. You get what I'm saying. I could be a little bit wrong. Aloha, Iridescency. I think you're the first person to say aloha, so aloha. And hopefully that's a hello aloha, not a goodbye. As the word aloha is both used for hello and goodbye, isn't it? Okay, so stress is usually on the second to the last syllable, but this is by no means universal. The consonants and vowels are basically pronounced P, K, H, L, M, and N, much like the English. W, I, E, and V sound following O or U, and then it goes on to tell you how to actually make the sound. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. These are just linguistic notes, right? As an expert in Hawaiian language once told me, it's impossible to move Hawaiian into English without losing much of the Hawaiian's integrity. This is due because Hawaiian is a rich, poetic language, and its speakers delighted and still delight in puns. What's that word? Double entendres, or how do you pronounce it? Entendre. Double entendre. Hidden meanings, another wordplay. Though limited to just 7 consonants and 5 vowels. It's 7 consonants and 5 vowels. That's less than I had thought. Hawaiians arrange these few letters into an amazing variety of words. Even the 30,000 entries in the Hawaiian Dictionary can only begin to record this language's rich complexity, out of 12 letters. This book's Hawaiian orthography, the method in which the language is presented in print, is somewhat singular. I've chosen to italicize nearly all Hawaiian words and terms, save for the deity names, proper names of persons, islands, towns, cities, and island districts and places throughout Hawaii. And through the use of hyphens is currently pronounced. So he's let's just go to the finally, okay? Finally, Hawaiian is a rich language. Most Hawaiian words have many meanings, each shaded to give a different interpretation. Though I've included a Hawaiian glossary in this book, it is no means authoritative and lists definitions on Hawaiian words only within the parameters of their usage in this book. So, and then now we're going to go on to a preface, which is probably what I thought I was going to start reading. Aloha, Sherbug. Aloha, aloha. Iridescent Sea says, Aloha, Nui, Kirsten, and Tang. So I'm learning some things too because she's mixing English with Hawaiian. Okay, so now we're reading the preface and we're into Scott Cunningham's Hawaiian Magic and Spirituality. Preface. Many books have been written about Hawaii, from scholarly volumes to collections of folk tales to wildly romantic fictions. Gotta get me some of those wildly romantic fictions by Scott Cunningham. Picture books, travel guides, histories, and sociological studies crowd the shelves. Mark Twain, Robert Louis Stevenson, Jack London, James A. Micheliner, and many other authors have devoted books and short stories to this subject for over 150 years. Hawaii has been a popular topic of authors around the world. Some of these works describe the luxuriant beauty of Hawaii. Others discuss, to a degree, the people who once lived there. There are accounts of missionaries and diaries of other men and women who visited Hawaii in the 1800s. Archaeological records, analysis of myths, and accounts of Hawaiian ethnobotany and royalty can be found in abundance. Surprisingly, though, no one book has provided an overview of traditional Hawaiian spirituality. That's nuts. That at that point, no one had done a book on it. And there may not be another one. You know, that's interesting to me. Since virtually every aspect of life in ancient Hawaii was intimately related to religion, this is a vast subject, and many areas can only be touched upon here. The bibliography leads to reliable sources for further information. I've had many reasons for writing this book. First, I've spent 20 years studying traditional Hawaiian culture and the last 10 years traveling throughout Hawaii. Second, I've been appalled at some of the books that have been published in recent years that promise to teach the secrets of Hawaiian magic and deliver nothing. And finally, I've had no choice. Like other writers before me, I've become enchanted with Hawaii. I need to make sure that... Okay. Hi guys, welcome back, welcome back. Thomas, that was so amazingly kind of you. He said, Madam Butterfly, I've just done a ritual with candles to ask the Fae to help us guide your friend and your son. See, this is the beautiful magical community I'm talking about. I'm going to move this like this so we can all continue to see that candle burn, okay? This is exactly what I'm talking about. The community of friends that we have here is irreplaceable and like no other. It makes me want to cry all the time, but I don't want to cry right now, so I shan't. Let's have a puff and get back to it. The words and pictures in this book are mere shadows of Hawaii. Words cannot capture the image of trembling aquamarine water lapping green and black sand beaches. Yeah, I bet he can write a romance novel. The beauty of an emerald valley ringing with the cries of birds, the scent of exotic plants mixing with the ocean's salt, and the sight of the sun painting the western horizon with fire. The power of explosive lava pouring into the ocean, or the low, humming peace experienced within the rock-walled temples built century upon century ago. Hawaii is truly a world apart. This is a land of rain and deserts, innumerable waterfalls, red earth and blue skies, fertile fields and multicolored crayons. multicolored canyons, healing stones and phallic rocks, sacred rivers and tabooed valleys, cinder cones, secret caves, volcanic hair. Yes, it does say hair. I don't know what that means. Volcanic hair. Green cliffs, haunted woods, rainbow fish, fragrant flowers, coral reefs, blowholes, jeweled beaches, and live volcanoes. Make sure. Iridescent sea, I've come across things like that. She says, I lived in Hawaii for 5 years back in the 80s. As a native white girl, many powerful lessons were learned there. If you guys ever go to Maui and you do the drive to Hana, like the drive around the island, be conscious that if you stay in Hana, there's only a couple places to actually stay, that the natives there, just, be very, very kind. Because I think that they practice magic, and if you were to piss them off, it might be quite strong. That was just the feeling I got when there, though. This phantasmagorical setting gave birth to a culture unmatched in modes of spiritual expression and environmental concern. Glorious isolation produced a rich, multi-layered, and all-encompassing spirituality deeply rooted in the land, the wind, and the rain of the ocean. In our ongoing quest to answer eternal questions, humans have always turned for assistance to religion, or to its less structured form, spirituality. Hawaiians looked to their island world to answer their questions, and in doing so, came far closer to truth than have many other peoples. And yet, just over 200 years after contact with the outside world, Hawaii's fabulous culture and its original modes of spirituality are virtually unknown to the outside world. What is known is generally incorrect or incomplete. The theories of Max Freedom's long, completely non-Hawaiian Huna, the concept that kahuna are evil, that Hawaiians tossed virgins into volcanoes, that the Hawaiians were ignorant and savage persons who surfed and danced but lacked science, philosophy, and true religion. This is another reason for this book, putting to bed such false notions and replacing them with fact. The information contained within this book has been gathered from a number of sources. Some has generously been shared from the many cultural Hawaiians that I've known throughout my life. Much of it has been culled from early authoritative sources that were written by either Hawaiians or by specialists who recorded information from aging Hawaiians. Again, remember, they didn't have books. Everything was written down. That was how they recorded this. By the aging Hawaiians, many of whom heard stories of long vanishing times from their grandparents. This book is rooted in fact, not wild speculation or romantic fantasy. Fortunately, truth is far more wondrous than fiction. It is my fondest hope that this book will introduce you to the true magic of Hawaii. Okay, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't read a bit of the first chapter, but I definitely on this video want to read the section called Water. Now, when I read a book, I'm known to hop to wherever my imagination goes and just kind of use it as a reference until I actually, either need it or have time to sit down and read the entire book. Do any of you guys read books like that, or is it just me? If I have the time, I'll sit down and read the entire book, but generally, a book is just another research tool for me, another way for me to get my research in. Yeah. Hold on a minute, I saw something about Louisiana. Hi, one-legged witchy woman, how are you? Nice to see you. Are you in Louisiana, you say? Alright, So let's go ahead and talk about water a little bit from this book, okay? So under chapter 10, which is water, we're starting on page 95. It's going to have a couple different sections within the section, okay? So we're looking at the candle. There we go. Water. It's going to talk about fresh water, rain, salt water, and that's it. And then chapter 11 is stone. So maybe we read about these two chapters, water and stone, and then use that as a segue to read about stone magic and earth power, and then close out with some more from the gardener's lore. Does that sound like a good plan to you guys? See, you never know what's going on when you have eyeshadow on it. Is it even looking right? I don't know. Okay, so I think that sounds good. Yes, okay. So, water. To the Hawaiians, water was a gift from Akua. I think it's better if I just try and spell them rather than pronounce them. But if that becomes annoying, let me know and I'll just attempt to do that. Okay, ASMR, no problem. I'm glad that you're able to listen while you're doing your work. So, Hawaiians believe that water was a gift from the Akua, Akua, the unending source of Ola, life, O-L-A. It fell from the sky, bubbled mysteriously up from the earth, ran in silvery white rivulets down the sides of deep cliffs, and languorously made its way to the ocean in the many streams that grace the island. Reliable sources of fresh water are necessary for human life. Had the major Hawaiian islands been bereft of such sources, they never would have been populated. The great importance given to water in Hawaii can easily be demonstrated. The Hawaiian word for wealth and abundance and prosperity is waiwai, W-A-I, is simply the word for water reduplicated. So W-A-I means abundance, wealth, prosperity. And then that word, YY, is just literally breaks down to say water, water. And I think that's really beautiful just to kind of like, it's all within us. It's within you. It's within me. It's within the plants, the trees. We're all this huge source of water, of YY. Freshwater fairies, right? You're like, fresh water! Yeah! So that leads me to the next section, which is called freshwater fairies. Tangible tangerine. So freshwater. As a people surrounded by the undrinkable ocean, fresh water was of prime importance. In wet areas of the islands, plenty was available for use. Streams were diverted to irrigate fields of taro, which is called kalo, K-A-L-O, or sweet potato, which is called ula, U-A-L-A, and other crops. After strenuous work or swimming in the sea, Hawaiians cleanse themselves with fresh water. Now, I think this is cool because a lot of people cleanse themselves with salt water, whereas Hawaiians use fresh water to cleanse themselves. Salt water is, it's there everywhere. It's not uncommon. Fresh water is the gift, you know. You okay, Alex? So, Hawaiians cleanse themselves with fresh water. Indeed, they often bathed 5 or more times per day. Which is crazy because in history, other forms of people, like the European people, didn't bathe at all. Watch Versailles, A Dirty Secret, a great Netflix documentary. Versailles, A Dirty Secret. I mean, people didn't bathe. Their bathroom practices weren't even that great. Napoleon, one of my favorite aromatherapy blends to put together is Napoleon's blend. It's one that's known by a lot of people and you can find it in a lot of books. But he would just put more and more of these essential oils on instead of bathing. It was the way of the time. Some people even thought you would get ill from bathing. That's why they invented perfume, probably because instead of baths. Okay, so water from springs was preferred for drinking as it was usually the purest. Fresh water was also used in food preparation and had its ritual applications as well. In the dry areas of each island, fresh water was at a premium. It often had to be carried down from the mountains in huge gourds or collected from rare springs. Freshwater springs were even found in the ocean. Divers would plunge into the ocean with covered water gourds, locate the spring, fill the gourds with fresh water, close them, and rise to the surface. If that's not earth magic, I don't know what is. Having a big bay of salt water, a big ocean of salt water, and one part of it stays fresh water. That's magical that the earth is doing on its own, because why else wouldn't they mix together? I just don't understand. It must be magic. Okay. So, in arid areas, springs were considered to be the sacred things. Springs that occasionally went dry were treated in lengthy rituals and given many offerings. Soon after these rites, the springs would once again freely run. In some isolated places, water dripping from the ceiling of caves was collected in large wooden troughs and carefully poured into gourds. Such caves, used to collect drinking water, were sacred to Kane, Kane, and that is the god of the sugarcane fields. And I believe it's the god of Pele, I believe, is the god of the sugarcane fields. We'll find out, though, I'm guessing. I read it in a different Scotty book, though. Jen, Fresh and salt happen in Texas all the time. Fresh and salt happen in Texas all the time? Gotcha. Makes sense. Magical place. Okay. Fresh water was important in the ritual purification of places and people, as during the dedication of a HEIAU, or during treatment for sickness. Each day, at the family altar, pohaku okane was sprinkled with water or coconut oil. So the family altar is called pohaku okane in Hawaiian, and that was sprinkled with fresh water or coconut oil. Okay, a magical spring, which existed on one of the sacred islands of the Aqua, Akua, was the source of the water of life, or the water of Kane, Kane. The water from this spring possessed great mana, for when sprinkled on a dead person, it restored life. So they are saying that you can do necromancing with water from the magic spring. Okay? On one of the sacred islands. Many stories recount the exploits of humans who journeyed to this land, gathered some of the water, and used it to bring back their deceased friends or relatives. Hawaiians usually mention the water of life of Kane when planting, harvesting, and offering fruits to their fields, because it was the source of life. Hawaiians were aware that the spiritual quantities of fresh water. Hold on just a minute, I'll be right back. Hey, babe. That little sucker. I think that sometimes my husband doesn't have much conception of sound, because he's got his phone blaring and the TV blaring, and I'm trying to read and also focus and concentrate. So he did turn it down a couple of notches. I can't say anything bad. Now we're going to talk about rain. And I didn't read the last sentence right. It was, Hawaiians were quite aware of the spiritual qualities of fresh water. It's so loud. I guess I'm just going to turn on a teeny bit of background music beside us. Don't worry, it's not going to be music with lyrics, but I do have to put on something or I'll go nuts. I'll go nuts, I say. So now we're going to talk about rainwater, and we're reading out of Scott Cunningham's Hawaiian Spirituality. That was a lovely, lovely gift from Luna's Muse. Thank you so, so much. And I'm just going to turn on some 963 HZ music. And this is the music that I sleep to. And it's one that will help you open up your crown chakra and connect with spirit guides, see your spirit guides, be more open to messages, etc. 963 HZ crown chakra. There we go. There's my favorite one. I'll try a new one this time, though.
The universe is extremely willing to play with you if you will play
We're
with it.
almost done. I guess that's making it a little bit better. If it gets to the point where you guys can't hear because of it, just let me know and I'll turn it off. Okay. Yeah, I know, I hear about the free music. This is free music, don't worry. It's free. Okay. So, but I'll look into that, Tangerine. I'm just, not the greatest at getting the things on my list actually done. There we go. Rain, otherwise known as, oh, and there's this old chant that goes, Uikalani Ola Ka Hanua, runs the old chant, the heavens cry, the earth lives. In this simple observation of the necessity of rain for bountiful crops lie many hidden meanings. In essence, it speaks of the primordial union of Papa and Wake, and of human sexuality. Water was seen to be the most intimately connected with the generation of plant life. That cool, fresh water was a common symbol of sexuality. That's not working. I guess I'm just gonna live with it. Since early Hawaiians were dependent upon the deities to provide them with water, they regularly prayed for rain. I was like, paid for rain? How do you pay for rain? Just so I know, in case I need to do it. When a lack of rain created drought on the island, special temples were built or restored, and Kane and Lono, turn that down, invoked to bring life-giving rains to the fields and their worshippers. Hawaiians use dozens of words to describe rain. Light, misty rain fall. I guess we're gonna go outside. I'm honestly like on the end of my rope and I'm about to cry, so we're gonna go outside. It's all okay. Don't worry. I just gotta get a coat on and a blanket. But I can't listen to politics while I'm trying to read about spirituality. Hey babe, that's crazy loud, so I'm gonna go outside, I guess. I can't even read.
Turn it down. Calm down.
It's fine. What's that word?
That's a good idea.
So, let's get these books. The other two books that I have on wives' lore, or old wives' tales, Gardening Lore and Gardener's Magic, which this book is kind of like a compilation of the other two. So, Still too loud to read too. Okay, I'm gonna get a sweater and some shoes and then we'll go outside, y'all. So give me just a minute to get that together. It's truly another beautiful day outside. Ooh, that moth that was here yesterday, it stayed in my room all last night. When I woke up this morning, it was, it fell, or it was sleeping, upside down on the ceiling. And she's still in here, and after some deep thought and, you know, meditation on the subject, I'd love to tell you guys what I came up with on the messages from the moth. I don't know if they're right or not. I have to meditate on them a little bit more. But the message was pretty extreme, so I'm trying to sit with it for a little bit, figure out if it's right. Come on, boots! Does anybody else like to wear boots with a dress? I've got my Converse boots. Not actually boots, they're just the really high Converse. Sweater. So what are some other fun things we can do for the birthday party? What do you guys think? Any ideas? I'm going to put on a special pin today. Let me go get it. I forgot to put it on while I was getting ready. This is from my lovely friend Joyce. And it's like, you know, one of those cameo brooches, but it's got an owl on it, and it's really pretty. So I'm going to wear that today. Doesn't that look nice? Thank you, Joyce, for when you watch this later, because I don't think you're here right now. And let's go find a place to sit outside. And we've got some battery life, so we should be able to sit out there for a while and chit-chat. Keep that candle in mind as we go. Let's roll. Let's roll. Otis, take good care of the bedroom, buddy. Going outside to read in the sunshine. Hi, thank you. Going outside to read in the sunshine. Hi, Bazinga. Yes, 5 cats, not 3. I know a couple of you.
You should come with me over to feed the goats.
I know a couple of you in the last couple of days had said the last 3 cats, 3 felines. But yes, at one point I had 3, but now it's 5. 5 kitties. So, let's see if I can see here. I wanted to show you guys the up view of my meditation tree. Isn't that beautiful? If I just lay on the ground and look up, that's my view. And my tree is just the ultimate beauty. This is the tree I'm going to try and take a start from. She even has that right there. That's a big old root that I sit on. And when I sit there, I can look right up at the full moon. And the full moon's there at about like 1:30 in the morning when I sit right there. So that's cool. What a blessing. And there's that bay laurel I was talking about yesterday. Oh, nope. That's a strawberry tree. Where is my bay laurel tree? Alex moved everything. Oh, it's behind. It's just here. They look different from normal. So a lot of times you'll see bay leaves and they're more round and fat than this, but this is the variety we've got. See that mushroom? It's the bush right behind the mushroom. Okay, so let's read out here in the sunshine. We'll get back to it. The only reason we'll need to go inside is if we get interrupted by the neighbor and his little dog too. Okay. So, we were reading about rain, weren't we? And we're still in this book here. And his little dog too, exactly. Exactly, Mama Hennessy. Hawaiians use dozens of words to describe rain. Light, misty rain falling at a certain time was considered to be a blessing from the positive omen. Rainbows, though usually considered to be signs of the ali'i, they might appear above the heads of chiefs and chiefesses. Chiefesses. Lady chiefs, okay? Or of good luck, and could also be seen as omens of doom or treachery. Meteorological kahuna spent much of their time watching the skies to predict the coming of rain or the ending of storms. There were many signs. Red skies in the west at sunset indicated the rain would soon clear. Blue-black clouds hugging the mountains were omens of rain, as were small clouds with red patches to the east before sunrise. Certain winds usually brought rain as well. And then now we're going to talk about salt water. I'm just seeing what you guys are saying. Hey everybody, thank you for liking. I really appreciate that. Salt water. Through the ocean, it is usually associated with Kanaloa. Cane is also connected with the sea. According to Forlander, Cane added salt to the ocean's water to keep it healthy and uninfected. So that is the legend of why there's salt in the water of the ocean. The ocean provides an abundance of foodstuffs, from seaweed to mollusks to crustaceans and fish. Abalone shells that we put our sage and palo santo in, those are mollusks. A mollusk is something that has a shell and the whole bottom of it like suction cup. I do believe. Yeah. Perhaps it was the ocean's role as a major provider of food and its unquestioned power and vast size that led to the many uses of seawater. Samuel Menakalikane Kamakau termed seawater the universal remedy. When the digestion was poor, the patient drank 2 to 4 cups of seawater, followed this with a cup of fresh water, and then chewed on sugar cane. This remedy acted as a laxative and soon restored normalcy. If any of you have ever done the lemonade diet, the Stanley Burroughs cleanse from the 60s that is still used today by loads of people, I generally like to do it at least once or twice a year for at least 10 days, sometimes up to 30. Salt water is a big part of that as well, and yes, they're using it for a laxative. All right. Salt water also had ritual uses. A purification bath known as a kapukai was a ritual bath in the sea. It was performed in private and was accompanied with prayers. Kapukai were necessary for all who had suffered any type of defilement, such as contact with a corpse after menstruation and so on. Where in the world did that come from? That came out of left field, Scotty. Such as contacts with the corpse after menstruation. If you guys know anything about that or have ever heard anything about that, please let me know. I have to know more. Wow. Okay, anyway. The baths removed the kapu and the defiling mana from the person. Such baths were thought to be most effective if repeated for 5 consecutive days. Additionally, these purification baths were used before a hula dancer's graduation from training, at the close of the healing ceremonies, and at any time when the person felt it was of need. Seawater or salted water was widely used for purification. A standard purification ritual was required before collecting offerings for the Akua, A-K-U-A, or performing religious services. It consisted of washing or sprinkling the body with fresh water, followed by sprinkling with fresh water mixed with salt or seawater. And then ablution with salt water mixed with the olina, turmeric root. Okay. Really glad that we're slowly pulling herbs into this because it's making a lot of sense to me. Most purifications simply use seawater or fresh water mixed with salt. These were collected or mixed with prayer or intention or an incantation if you wanted to kind of mix it up. For the waters themselves had little power without these prayers. And again, it's like, I can use this bay leaf I just picked and I could burn it. Or I could put a sigil on it, put my intention into it, and then burn it. Which one is going to be more effective? You know? If I spend 5 minutes with this, is it going to be more effective than 5 hours? Depends on how much intention I put into it. How much focus, how much energy directed toward it. Hey Goddess Queen 33, busy day. Well, thank you for coming in and saying hi. I assume touching a corpse and having your period would make you impure. Right. I thought it had something to do with touching a corpse after you've had your... I don't know. I thought there's a little more to that. Anyway. Alright, so let's move on. And go to... Where are we at? Such purifactory waters were generally known as Kawai Apu Kakain, the sacred waters of Cain, or simply as Wai Hukila, the water of purification. The process of using salt water for purification was known as pikai. It was in almost constant use for cleansing newborn babies, purifying new canoes and houses, creating hula altars to laka in the sub-incision ceremony of circumcision, I'm guessing. It says sub-incision. I don't know what is a sub-incision? Does somebody want to look it up? S-U-B-I-N-C-I-S-I-O-N. Sub-incision ceremony of young boys, as a part of healing rites and after contact with defiling things. After menstruation each month, women purified themselves with these waters, and objects inadvertently touched by menstruating women were similarly cleansed. Okay, well there we go. We've added a little bit more into it. Okay, okay. So let me talk a little bit about this, because if it, I have my own intuition on the subject. All right. Do you guys know? And this isn't like. I suppose it's a conspiracy theory of my own that I'm growing upon, but hear me out, and I don't know where to start. For hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years, women have not been allowed to be in the rights of men, of Catholicism, of Freemasonry, of certain types of darker magic rituals, etc. Why is that? Well, when women are on their period or when they're menstruating, they have a power that a woman who practices magic may be able to control, but women who don't practice magic probably can't control that power. I, don't even think I can harness mine completely and control it, and I've been working on that for years. But the reason why they weren't invited into these ceremonies was because their power was so much more than the man's because of what was going on in the body. So, this is, where did that come from, Jen? Well, I'll tell you. We just read this word and these phrases. That great importance was given to water. Wait, where are we at? I'm sorry, I just have to find that place I just read. After menstruation each month, women purified themselves with these waters. That's fine. That wasn't what I was upset about. I was upset about, and the objects that were inadvertently touched by women when they were menstruating were cleansed. Is that because they were afraid of the power harnessed within? I guess that's my thought. And why were these cleansing these items? I'm the type of person to intentionally touch things during that time and use that energy in whatever way that I need, whether it be positive or baneful. For instance, like if you have cramps, and I did a video on charging, baneful sand with your menstrual pain. And just putting that sand right on your lap and envisioning the pain going into the sand. And then however you decide to use it, you decide to use it. But you can literally get energy right from one thing into the other, and it's super, super powerful. Uncle Badger says, there is ancient pagan style magic in the feminine. It's a creation life magic as well. It's like the May Queen being symbolic of spring and growth. The man is the winter king, the season of death. And that's funny because I was like, May Queen, Samhain King, which I love. Hey, Dangerous Eyes, how are you? It's so good to see you. Alright, Clarissa, so nice to see you. Okay, guys, so, we've gotten through that little section there. We've only got a little bit left to read of water, and then we're going to talk some stones. Okay, now this is the last bit on water, and we're in the section of salt water. This ritual sprinkling of salt water is still performed throughout Hawaii in both public and private settings to drive away evil and to purify homes, buildings, and construction sites. It's even often done in a quasi-Christian framework. I don't know what a quasi-Christian framework is. By Christian ministers, though the practice was in common use for centuries before the arrival of the first Western sailors and missionaries, and has no direct connection with baptism. The high regard that the Hawaiians had for salt water was probably related to the fact that salt is a necessary part of the human diet. That the fact that salt water doesn't turn bad, coupled with the obvious mana of the sea, probably led to its use in ritual and ceremony as a powerful purifier. Okay, so again, we're reading out of Scott Cunningham's Hawaiian Magic and Spirituality. Tangerine, you're funny. And so we're going to be reading about stone magic, which is chapter 9 in this book. And we're also going to read about stone in Hawaiian lore. Both of these books are by Scott Cunningham, okay? So within the Hawaiian book, there's tons of stuff to talk about. I'm going to take a break from the Hawaiian book and go to Earth Power, but I will tell you what types of stone things we'll be reading about. Stones, the uses of pohaku, and I think pohaku means stones. We're going to be reading about stones and the aqua, A-K-U-A, which we've been talking about. We're going to talk about the Queen's Bath on the Big Island of Hawaii, birth stones, healing stones, stones of fertility. So that's what we'll be looking forward to in stones from here. We'll take a little break from reading Hawaii for just a minute, hop over here to Earth Power, and read the chapter that I chose for today, which is chapter 9 on stone magic. Now, about 3 or 4 days ago, when we read out of this book, we were reading on sea magic, and we were talking about stones a little bit. We were talking about hold stones, okay, otherwise known as hag stones. Right after I read that part and did the video, I put my coat on, my daughter and I went in the woods behind our house, went foraging, and I found 3 hag stones from these very holy stones that I didn't even know were up behind my house. So, I mean, we manifest things even when we just decide to talk about them on a YouTube video or just teach it to a friend. That's funny, Tangerine. I'm going to the menstruation hut. No chores for me that day. And don't touch anything. Don't touch anything or we're all going to have to cleanse it. Okay, so chapter 9, Stone Magic, page 77. Quiet! The magic of stones is one that nearly everyone is familiar with. Most people at least know of the existence of birthstones, the stones said to belong to the month of your birth. There is also a wide body of lore regarding the power and magical uses of precious and semi-precious stones. For years it has been commonly said that pearls cause tears. And that opals are bad luck for someone to wear, and that diamonds represent the constancy of love, and that is why they are used in wedding and engagement rings. If any of you guys are clairaudient, you'll know that sound is something that really, really, really bothers you. And I guess that would be one of the downfalls of my clairaudience, is that even the smallest thing can just really, really bother me. So I apologize about that, because I know y'all can tell when I'm getting frustrated. Okay. Though the lore of precious stones, pearls and opals, it isn't important because it's an expensive practice few of us could afford. To get these very precious stones and use them. But the common everyday stones you see lying on the street or dig up in your yard, those tumbled over the riverbanks or beaches or lying scattered as if a giant hand threw them onto the countryside, are possessed of powers and can be used in magic just as can those of tremendous commercial value. Simply because a stone is valuable does not lend it any special power. True, the rarer the stone, the greater the mystique surrounding it. Diamonds are an excellent example of this, but they are not necessary in magic. Have you ever idly picked up rocks during a vacation, pocketing pebbles for no apparent reason? I think we've all done that, Scotty. Hey, Lady Moon, how are ya? Lady Moonflower, that's a beautiful name. I love that. You're not sure what a hagstone is? A hagstone is a stone that has a hole that you can see all the way through. So some stones just are holy stones, but the hole never goes anywhere. A hagstone is one that has a hole that you can actually look all the way through, at least one. And you can use these stones to look for the fae. You can use them to look for things. It basically, when you look through it, it's like a doorway to the other realm that you can see. Looking through these stones. And I've done a video all on hagstones, check it out, just do a YouTube search, taxidermy witch hagstones, get a bunch of information from it. Okay, so simply because the stone is valuable does not lend any special power. True, the rarer the stone. Okay, have you ever idly picked up rocks during vacation, pocketing pebbles for no apparent reason? Or perhaps you bought a shiny piece of agate or onyx at a gift shop in a curio store. Did you ever wonder why? Hundreds of thousands of years ago, rocks were used as tools. They, and bones, were the only tools available. And early people used them to collect plants for food, to hunt, to sew clothing, and to perform any task that they couldn't accomplish with their bare hands. Today, rocks aren't thought of too often unless a gardener finds them in the ground and curses silently as they work. Today, rocks aren't thought of too often unless a gardener finds them in the ground and curses silently at the work they'll mean to him. But they can't be valuable tools in magic. But they can be valuable tools in magic and are cheap and easy and obtainable. Live in the city? There must be a park somewhere or a vacant lot. Oh, Scotty. Alright, now we are going to, as we do in this book, now it's going to give us some suggestions on what to do with these topic we just talked about, aka rocks. So here we'll be reading about a rock meditation, divining stones, talking stones, to communicate with others at long distances. Who thinks that Scotty's going to say, grab the biggest rock you can and talk into it? I kind of think that it's going to have something to do with that. Hey Layla, I'll try and remind you too if I see you live at the water park. We're going to be doing a protective stone. We're going to be doing a circle of stones, a pot of stones, the bag of 7 stones, and that's it. So let's start with rock meditations. First thing I'm going to say is rocks, grounding. Meditation, grounding, right? Uplifting, centering, great. Hole, not a hole. That's a whole lot of holes. That's a whole other hole. That's one of my favorite Orange is the New Black episodes, is the one that's called Whole Other Hole. Okay, rock meditations. To get in touch with the energies resident within rocks, take a rock that appeals to you. It should be small enough to hold in your hand, but that is the only criteria. Place it in your power hand and sit quietly. Close your eyes and direct your consciousness to your hand. Feel the rock. Explore it with your mind, noticing the textures, the temperature, the hardness, any pieces of dirt clinging to it. Any cracks, any abnormalities, just really feel, take your time, and slowly let your mind filter all these thoughts and embrace them. Let it kind of be a guided meditation to yourself, if you will. When you have done this, hold the rock passively and let it speak to you. Listen, because your intuition is talking, even if it comes in your voice in your mind. But pay attention to that too. When you hear yourself talking to yourself in your head, is it your voice? Is it someone else's voice? Is it a female? Is it a male? Is it a child? Let me know and get back to me, because there's a whole video we could do just talking about that. But all I have to say is listen. Listen with your heart, not with your smart mind that came straight from school saying that that's ridiculous. You can't listen with your heart. That's not true. I don't know, Layla, I'm sorry. Okay, so when this is done, after you do the envisioning, hold the rock passively and let it speak to you. It will do this through vibrations, the essence of all magic. The vibrations will come within the rock itself, and you should feel them in your hand, pounding not only against the palm, but the fingers and thumb as well. And the best way I can describe this is maybe like a hot or a cold tingling feeling running through your hand. That's a good way to explain vibration. It won't actually be like your cell phone's on vibrate and the rock vibrates. If that happens, let me know, because I want to know what you're doing. But, you know, the vibrations, the feel of it, the language of the rock. The vibrations will come from within the rock itself, and you should feel them in your hand, pounding not only against the palm, but the fingers and thumb as well. Sorry. Bye, Boo! Just a sec. I'm gonna give him a kiss. I'll be right back. Yeah, Tangerine says when she picked up her fluorite crystal ball at the metaphysical shop, she felt musical vibrations. That's cool, Tangerine. Okay. Okay, I was picking the wrong book to start reading back again from. Okay, so we're still reading Out of Earth Power by Scott Cunningham. We're talking about the rock meditations. And as long as that chainsaw doesn't come back on, it should be nice and quiet, except for the sounds of the beautiful birds, etc. I'm excited for that. Okay, so that rock meditation, we're still talking about it. The vibrations will come from within the rock itself, and it will feel like a pounding not only against the palm, but the fingers and thumb as well. If the vibrations are fast-paced and vigorous, it is a high vibration rock. That is, it is possessed of vibrations that are quickly dispersed and then will act swiftly in any spell which you might use it. If the vibrations or pulses are slow and sedate, it is a low vibration stone and its uses will be different. This should be done with every rock you intend to utilize in Magick. Though it may sound like a long procedure, it is actually quite short. Once you know the vibrations, it can be done in a matter of seconds. These are some of the ways that these stones may be used. And then it's going to go on to talk about divining stones. And first I want to interject a little bit of my own personal experience with purchasing stones. Okay. So you can go to Amazon and you can get a good deal on a bunch of clear quartz points, or amethyst points, or citrine points, or whatever you want. You can get a good deal on Amazon. But if you are able to actually go to a metaphysical shop and put these rocks or these semi-precious stones, precious stones, in your hand and feel them, that's completely different. And also, don't feel like it's completely different because you bond with the stone in a different way once you hold it in your hand. some stone, I've never held more than 1 or 2 stones that I didn't like touching, that I was just like immediately nauseated by the touch of it and I didn't want it in my life at all. I've only ever held 2 stones like that. But here's what I'm trying to tell you is that if you're going to pay a good amount of money for something and you want it to work in a certain way, especially if it's vibratory or for magical uses and not just the look of it from a picture, you know, you can choose stones and not know any of their meaning. And a lot of people like to use that Bach flower remedy, if you will, where you choose your herbs or you choose the item based on how you feel when you hold it, or whichever one you pick based upon intuition. So don't think that if you know nothing about stones, you have no grounds to use them in your practice. That's absolutely untrue. I would say that the most common way to use them in the practice would be to just use them intuitively and what feels the best vibratory for you. So I just wanted to say that a little bit and say that, you know, it's great to get stones online, and it's cheap in that, and you're gonna get a bargain. Just be sure that that you know that it can be completely different if you're able to hold them in your hand, purchase them. Okay, so now we're going to talk about divining stones. This is a simple device used to obtain yes or no answers to pertinent questions, such as such, it is a form of divination. Stones have existed for a long time, okay, and will be around quite a bit longer. As such, they are symbols of the wisdom of eternity. They are frequently turned to for answers to important questions. Obtain 3 stones. 1 of a bright color should be a high vibration stone. Another of a dark color should possess low vibrations. Select a third that seems to have a medium vibration, neither high nor low. This should be unusually colored so that it can be easily differentiated from the others. All 3 stones, in fact, should be such individual appearances that they are immediately recognizable. When you need an answer to a yes or no question, roll the stones in your hand like dice, mentally asking your question, then throw them out into a flat surface, preferably the ground. A table will do. When the stones have stopped, determine the answer by their positions. If the yes stone is closer to the indicator, that is the answer. The same with the no stone. If the stones are equally apart, there is no answer. This simple method can be highly accurate, and I have used it for years with good results. The stones should be kept in a small bag of their own in a protected place and used for no other purposes. With practice, a more definitive answer can be determined. The positions of the stones, their proximity to the diviner, and the questions asked can all be taken into consideration. The closer the stones are to the indicator, the stronger the answer. So if your stone landed right on the yes, and the other one was so far away, that is a really, really good indication. Yeah, so iridescent it sounds fun, and it's so cheap and easy and basically free, right? It just takes your time and your intuition and your focus. Okay, so now we are in the section called talking stones. Now it doesn't say talking to stones, it just says talking stones, like talking heads. In this technique, stones are struck with knives to produce sound. If the right stone and the right knife are brought together, the sound will be musical, and if repeated, can be used to induce a trance-like state. High vibration stones are best for this. The technique is simple. Hold the stone and strike it gently with your knife or blade. Have a wide variety of knives and stones. Be careful of the knives. They should be dull for this use. They should be dull for this use. They should be dull for this use. After you have experimented for a while, select the combination producing the best sound. In a candlelit room or a wind-swept hill, or anywhere, of course, strike the rock and listen to the sound. Repeat in any rhythm you like, just like the medicine man's drum or rattle. The sounds and rhythms will work to put you into a relaxed, drowsy state. At this time, you can perform divinations, meditation, or simply experience the moment and sensations, which is one thing I love to do. Love to do that. This should be done out of sight and hearing of others. At night beneath a full moon is extremely powerful and may suggest other uses. Like, for instance, under the full moon, you might get more ideas for how to use these stones. I think that's what Scotty's trying to say there. The same technique can be used with gongs or bells, but that is outside the area of interest. Okay, next we've got to communicate with others at long distances. How are we doing on the chat? You guys having fun? Hope you guys are having fun. To communicate with others at long distances. This is where we're going to see if he just holds it up to his ear and talks to it. On high vibration stone, mark your message with chalk or charcoal. Bury it deep in the earth while visualizing the person's face, and your message will be sent. Well, there's no reason why you couldn't do what I said and just use a rock to talk into. You sure could. This one is called a protective stone. And again, we're reading out of Scott Cunningham's Earth Power. Protective stone. Take a small, high vibration stone and hold it in your power hand for several minutes, preferably sitting with bare earth and bare legs, you know, as bare as you can. Chant the following in a low voice, all the while staring at the stone. Stone, evil you shall deny. Send it to the earth and the sky. Send it to the flame and the sea. Stone of power, protect me. Now carry that stone with you at all times as a good luck charm. It will not only absorb your own vibrations, thus making it uniquely yours. You can also sleep with things under your pillow to get them to do that for like 9 days. I'm sorry. Now carry the stone with you at all times as a good luck charm. It will not only absorb your own vibrations, thus making it uniquely yours, it will also release its own energies to form a kind of protective barrier surrounding you, a shield of protective power to get you through the day unharmed. A circle of stones. If you wish to charge or otherwise infuse your energy with any object such as a ring, a piece of jewelry, and so on, take a handful of high vibration stones of an odd number and form a ring with them on the table, or the floor, or best of all, on the ground. The latter is also the most difficult, the ground, for they must be in a place where they can stay put for at least a day. The tabletop method is easier. Once the stones have been situated, place the object to be charged within them in the very center of the circle. This is all you have to do, for the stones will work their magic, sending strong vibrations into the object. This is such a good idea. Making a stone circle and putting something in the middle. Can you say Stonehenge? Like, even just sitting on this stone bench, it really, really charges me up, and the vibrations from it are absolutely amazing. But yeah, putting something in like one item in a stone circle. Now, do that under the full moon. Holy potatoes. Your laptop is drunk. I'm sorry, laptop. Okay, so I just got really excited about that circle of stones thing, but just wanted to say. An example would be... Hold on, I don't know where we left off. Once the stones have been situated, place the object to be charged within them in the very center of the circle. This is all you have to do, for the stones will work their magic, sending strong vibrations in the object. If you wish to strengthen the power of the spell, draw the appropriate ruin. See Appendix 2, and then Appendix 2, it shows us all the ruins. Or at least some of them. You know. So if you wanted love infused into it, or comfort, or money, or fertility, or healing, protection, good health, impossible to accomplish deeds, you just put that on the rock or on the item, you know. Example would be a ring you are about to give to a loved one. The ruins of love and protection would be placed upon the stones to ensure that the receiver is indeed suffused with love and protection. Okay, next we're going to read about a pot of stones, okay, or a cauldron of stones or whatever. A little artsy-fartsy type of decoration. I love the phrase artsy-fartsy, but you have to say it like artsy-fartsy. Pot of stones. Fill an old pot or jar with low vibration stones. Place this pot in a hidden spot in your home wherever it will not be disturbed. The stones will spread their low energy throughout the area, spreading peace and calm as well, and grounding. Your household should be happy and free of major problems and upsets. And lastly in this chapter, we have the bag of 7 stones. Okay? Artsy fartsy. Criminally, hun. The bag of 7 stones. This spell requires 7 stones of either high or low vibrations. You should have one of each of the colors: white, green, red, orange, yellow, brown, and black. It is best if you can find all these stones yourself. Stream beds are an excellent place to look. If you have difficulty, go ahead and buy them. Place the stones in a sack made of natural cloth dyed yellow. So if you want to dye something yellow, do you guys know what herb you would use? Remember when I talked about my herb shelf that was for stainables? Do you remember which herb was yellow? Well, there's loads, I'm sure, but yesterday we talked about how dandelions can stain something yellow. If you had a white cloth cotton bag, you could stain it with dandelions. But the biggest one is turmeric. And so turmeric powder, get that, wet to where it's like a soupy type of texture, and soak your item in that. Good to go. So turmeric. You can use beets for red, or you can make magical ink out of beet juice. But beet juice will dye anything. Yes, it will. Grass. You can dye things green by rubbing them in grass. Remember grass stains as a kid, you guys? Basically, think of anything that used to stain your clothes, and yeah, you'll get there. Sure will, but turmeric is a great one for yellow. Okay, so place the stones in a sack made of a natural cloth dyed yellow. Cotton is excellent. When you desire a sneak peek into the future, hold the bag, reach inside without looking, and remove one of the stones. The stone reveals present or future conditions. Now, for each color of the stone that he's told us to get, he's written some meanings. White, peace and tranquility. Green, love and money. Red, passion and arguments. Orange, luck. Yellow, wisdom and lessons. Brown, objects, possessions, and gifts. And black is negativity. And that is the whole of the chapter of Stone Magic, Chapter 9, by Scott Cunningham in Earth Power. Listen to those birds. Man, they're pretty today. We're getting low on charge, so I'm only going to read a little bit out of the Old Wives, and then we're going to go back and get on the charger, even though I would love to stay out here all day. It really is warm right in the spot. Beautiful. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is flower arrangers. Okay, and again, we're Maureen and Bridget Boland. This is a book that was written in 1976 first, and it is Old Wives Lore for Gardeners incorporating garden magic. Okay, so flower arrangers. She that would have posies is a sore trial to the good husbandman of his garden. As some old herbalists might well have said, except that the voice of the flower arranging is a comparatively modern one. Admittedly, much of the space in old gardens must have been taken up with the growing of strewing herbs, for mixing with the straw that preceded carpets, both for sweet scents and for aromas that deterred mice. Mice, fleas, and lice. But it was the Dutch flower painters who largely we suspect to encourage the sale of Dutch bulbs in the tulipomania period. Popularized the notion of massing mixed flowers in vases, the Japanese who created masterpiece with 3 twigs must be far less unpopular with their gardeners. The flower arranger who is not a gardener should never be let loose with a knife or scissors out of doors, particularly near shrubs. You're buying this tomorrow? This one? That's awesome, Madam Butterfly. Wait, this one or this one? Or this one. They're all so good. And I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying just reading books with me because, well, let's just say it this way. Whether or not my camera's here and turned on, I still have the same conversations with my books out loud. So I feel like I might as well turn on the camera so that we can all learn and talk together. This one that I'm reading, yeah, this is a fantastic book. Thank you again, Tess, for buying these for me. I can't believe you guys are oh so sweet with your gifts. And please, everybody, come to my birthday party. My birthday party, the first week of June. Okay, all flowers will last longer in water if foxgloves are incorporated into the arrangement. So yesterday we also learned from this book that foxglove, when planted in the garden, will keep all the others, like good nutrients in the garden. If there's foxglove in the garden, it'll keep good nutrients provided to the plants around it. I believe that's what we read yesterday on foxglove in here. And now we're saying if you keep a foxglove in the arrangement, it makes the arrangement last longer. So it must have some sort of like anti-aging magic or really powerful, just like, what's the word I'm looking for, you guys? You know, either like I would use it in image magic or beauty magic or something where you wanted time to stop and just like have youth be there, or health, or, you know, things like this, right? Okay, so incorporate foxglove into the arrangement where cut flowers are in water and it will last much longer. If their presence is not considered suitable for a particular artistic effect, add foxglove tea to the water. Mind blown. Mind blown. I love the idea. And, you know, I do believe it's the time of year that foxglove is out and about. I'm probably going to go foraging today or tomorrow and look for it, but foxglove tea. I know, Tess is a legend for sending me this, totally. Okay, so because foxglove is poisonous, right, it's toxic, maybe that's why you don't want it in the arrangement. Put foxglove tea into the water. God, I love that. Alright, so pour boiling water on a handful of leaves and flowers, or leaves alone if the flowers are not in season, and allow them to steep overnight. So it's good to know it's the leaves as well, or at least that's the best one. Bring your own book party, that's funny. Then we just sit there and do nothing. We're all just like, good one. Okay, so for diphylliums and larkspur, wait, hold on. Put pennies in the water as well, of arrangements, because that will make them last longer, I guess. And if it was me, I would put the pre-1982 US pennies in there because they have a copper base and copper attracts, you know, energies. And is amazing. Copper is just great. For Diphylliums and Larkspur, add sugar. For daffodils, add narcissi, and add charcoal or camphor. Put the cut ends of chrysanthemums in very hot water for a moment, and then straight into very cold. Wrap the stalks of tulips as soon as they are cut in newspaper and stand them for several hours up to their necks in water. Daffodils, which excrete a substance poisonous to other flowers, and the handling of those stems which give some people a rash, would preferably not be mixed with anything else in a vase. But if the arranger insists, see that they are soaked first for an hour in separate water and then rinsed again. Topmost buds should be nipped from the Diphylliums, gladioli, and snapdragons. We have snapdragons here too. Heather Foley, may I ask, is your name based on the plant heather? I've always thought that was so beautiful. Heathers will last for weeks in the house without the flowers withering or the needles dropping off if they are kept without water. In fact, it is particularly useful in the winter and early spring flowering varieties. Forsythia and wintersweet will last longer if picked in bud and stood first in hot water and then picked already in flower. If flowering shrubs must be used, not just the flowering tips should be cut, but the whole of the flower shoot down to the 2 buds above the old wood. Alright, next we're going to talk about waste knot, and we're actually going to go back into the house to talk about that so we can plug in and not have to leave because we ran out of power. So excited to read about waste knot once we get back into the house. Let's go. No. See a little bit of my garden? This is just really what's pretty much coming back up from last year. There's a beautiful mugwort. Bring your own bottle, whatever you choose. Yeah. Of course. It's not a dry birthday party. Not this one. Oh, woohoo! Messy out here. Go in the dark room. The dark room. It's quite dark in here in comparison to outside. Otis, you missed it. We had so much fun out there. You would have had a blast. You're just sleeping the day away in here. Bud. Buddy. Love you, buddy. So much. Oh, look at that kitty mouse. Did you see it? Oh, I love you so much. Come over here. Sorry, I gotta get my kitty on real quick. Oh, yeah. Oh, buddy. I love you so much. Oh my gosh. Let me see those toes. No, I just want to hold them. Oh, love you, Buster. Love you. Okay. So we're back and we're going to talk about waist knot. Oh, there we go. Let's do that. Oh yeah, you haven't been to bed yet, huh? You go to bed, hun, and then hopefully we'll see you soon. I woke up this morning at 3 a.m. and had to pee. And I just, like, went through YouTube and I saw that Linnea was live. And so I was like, oh, I'll pop into Candy's live, you know. So I popped into that and then ended up not going back to bed. But I went to bed really early last night. It was ridiculous, so it's all good. But Linnea needs to get sleep, so let's let her do that. Alright. Let's get set up here. And we'll talk some old wives' tales. Dun, 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 dun. Alrighty. Hey, Witchy Susie Q. I knew I'd still be here when you got back. Okay, we are on to the section called Waste Not. And here it goes. Kitchen refuse. Refuse? I don't know. Hi, Silver Willow. How are you? Nice to see you. Anything you can eat, plants... Wait. Anything you can eat, plants can use too. Even caviar could no doubt be added to fish meal with good effect. The outer leaves of vegetables need not be composted but can be used as green manure, either chopped up fine and dug into the lower split of soil when planting, or into the top spit several months before planting is to be done there. The contents of the sink basket, aka compost bin, should go onto the compost heap, with the caveat that meat scraped from plates should be excluded. No meat. Foxes, and even some dogs, will scatter the whole heap about if they smell it, right? So if you're out in any, like, country or wooded area, and you're in a place where there's either foxes, like in the UK prevalently, here we have coyotes, wild dogs, or even wild cats, will smell that and then just completely take over your trash heap, right? So, that's one reason why we don't put that in there, but there's actually a lot of other reasons why we wouldn't put meat into a compost. The other thing, and this is just old lore from my family, who have, like, German and Native American backgrounds, is that no citrus fruits either, and a lot of people say no eggshells. And I know a lot of people do say eggshells, so that's one that's kind of, you know, a controversy in the eyes of people who compost. Alright. That being said, one particularly that we cannot explain is that although coffee grounds scattered on the heap in the ordinary way seemed of no interest to animals, grounds thrown there in little paper cones used in Mattia coffee filters were always carefully extracted and the paper cleaned out, scattered far and wide. We blame the foxes on general principle. We had the impression that they said to each other, "Let's go up to the farm for a chicken dinner and then down to the Bolins for coffee." But a zoologist tells us we imagined this whole thing. I think that that's hilarious. That's something that I would tell Otis. Okay, and now we're talking about tea leaves. Okay, tea leaves. Old wives, when they have finished telling fortunes, save their tea leaves to put as mulch on camellias, which benefit particularly from them. I've wanted this for a long time. Like for Christmas or birthday or Yule or whatever. You know those Telegassi cups? The tea reading cups where they have all the stuff on the inside? I wanted one of those for so long. So yeah, that's on my wish list as well, is preferably an antique one, but the antique ones cost the same as the brand new ones, so it's what it is. But I would love to have a Tessography cup. I think that's how it's pronounced. Tessography. Okay, so milk. When milk bottles are to be rinsed, they should first be filled with water and well shaken, and then the contents used as a very mild liquid manure on houseplants in the garden. So, you know, in the old days when they would have milk jugs, well, I still get milk jugs because I get my milk from the dairies, but you could do this with your regular milk. When there's just a smidge left, fill the whole thing with water, shake it up, and use it as a manure, okay, in the garden. And we need manure for the garden. And the contents could be used as a very mild liquid manure on houseplants and in the garden. Climbers planted against house walls always always tend to get too dry. And lucky for the housewife, she need not go far from the kitchen and find a useful space to rinse out her bottles. Soapy water. Before the days of detergents, old wives recommended that throwing away of soapy water, particularly if it had soda in it, on flower vegetable beds, saying that cabbage benefited particularly. People who, like us, have septic tanks and should not use detergents that can least be grateful for this byproduct of their labors. Banana skins, which we talk about a lot, but I just happen to have some right behind me, and I use these for all kinds of workings, like slipping somebody up, just like you'd see it in Mario Kart, and you step on it and you slip, and to like get a job that you want if more than one person's going up for the job. Or sometimes I dry them like this and put workings right inside of the shell and stuff like that, okay? So you can do banana skins a bunch of different ways, but here's some dried banana skins that I have out of my dehydrator. And let's talk about that now. Banana skins. Laid just below the surface of the soil, banana skins have long been said to be very good for roses. Ah! I think Joyce just told me that the other day. Joyce, are you still in the room, or are you here at all? Madam Butterfly put something in caps so that I'll read it. She says, my mum, her mother, and her mother before her, and probably so on, all read tea leaves. Last year I bought your Tasseography cup, the cup of destiny, but still haven't used it. You need to try. Yeah, you should try. That's so cool. And send me some pictures, Madam Butterfly. I would love to see some pictures on Skype. But yeah, Joyce was telling me about banana skins, and she said plant them under your roses. So cool. Alright. Plant them under your roses, and scientists now approve this practice in 1976. Having found that they are able to provide, as they root quickly, a considerable quantity of calcium, magnesium, sulfur, phosphates, sodium, and silica. All things that are really important when growing. Yeah, you don't see many tea leaf readers anymore, Thomas. That's absolutely true. One of my great friends, Black Moon Coven, she does tea leaf readings, and on her channel she talks about how to do it and stuff. But yeah, I would love to do that because it also connects the person's DNA with the reading, which I absolutely love. And I'm talking about expectorant or saliva, right? Anyway. Ooh, beer! So, now we're going to read about beer in this Old Wives' Tales. Charlie, whom we met on our country bus when we go shopping, tells us how he once threw what was left after brewing some homemade beer out of his kitchen window. There was a row of hollyhocks just outside. While the rest of the row did reasonably well, the hollyhock immediately below the window grew to a height of 18 foot 6 inches, and a man from the BBC came down to see it. That's hilarious. And a man from the BBC came down to see it. It was that impressive. I bet it was. Rinse out your beer bottles and glasses. I'm always trying to think of something to do with those besides like a single candle working, you know, or a message in a bottle or something like that. But anyway, it says wash out your old beer bottles. Where are we at? Rinse out your old beer bottles and glasses like your milk bottles. So pouring water into it and shaking it, for the good of the garden. In this case, apparently it's the yeast that does the trick. So in your beer bottle, leave just like a big old sip of beer, and then fill it the rest of the way with some water, shake it up, and then put it over your plants. And the yeast will do some stuff for it. Make things grow amazingly plentifully, you know. Okay, boots. So many people see. Oh, okay. You know how, like, in trashy, I'm just gonna say trashy because I don't mind calling myself trashy sometimes about, like, the way I design or my yard, or, you know, kitschy, tacky, kind of like fun, you know. But you know how people, like, sometimes put sinks in their yards for bird baths, or they'll put old tires and fill them with dirt, or garden gnomes in their yard, or things like that. And maybe this is just an American thing, but how many people, raise your hand if you've seen boots, like one boot in a yard filled up with dirt and used it as a planter? I wonder why that is, and I have a feeling we're about to find out why, which is really exciting to me. Okay, so boots. Never throw old boots and shoes in the dustbin, but bury them in the garden. Okay. Leather is full of good things, and they will rot down eventually, except for the loathsome rubber and plastic soles, which can be retrieved. The salts in human sweat are not without their uses either. So it is saying that the leather from the boot mixed with the salt of your sweat from your foot, both these things will be good for the garden. Now, how else might it also, by putting these things under your garden, it will reattach you to these foods that you're going to eat. So, you're the person, and you excreted your DNA into this leather via sweat in this instance, and probably a bunch of skin cells. And now you're going to put those things under your garden. They're going to break down slowly and rot, and then become a part of the food. I think this is a really good thing that we could use perhaps for self-recognition, self-reflection, getting to know your true self, bonding yourself to the foods that you'll be eating in the future, bonding yourself to the soils below the foods. So I just can't say enough about how cool that is, not just because it's leather, but also because it's got part of you that's going into the ground with your food, if you get what I'm saying. Uncle Badger says that is so cool, and you can do regular tea leaf readings on YouTube and also bring in some of your family history as well. Yeah, that's a cool idea. I like that a lot. Okay, so after boots, we have egg boxes. You know, the soft recycled paper boxes that eggs come in, and they have 12 little compartments. Another thing you can use those for are different colors of paint. You know, keep your paint separate when you're painting a big mural by those egg crate boxes. Okay, so egg boxes. Do not give your egg boxes back to the grocer or milkman. Far less, throw them away. They are just as good for growing small seedlings as peat pots and cost you nothing. I wish Alex was currently doing this right now, but peat pots. Let me go see if I can find one to show you. They're for starts and seeds and stuff. No peat pots. But basically, they're just like these little tiny things that are about as big as half an egg, and they're what you put your little seedlings in, and then you're able to take that peat pot, which peat is spelled P-E-A-T, like peat moss, and you take those and you're able to plant those directly into the ground, and it's a good way to get it started when you're inside. Okay, so you can use egg crates like that, and dirt. Okay, next is old nylons. Don't think nylons are a thing of the past. I saw them all over the place in Texas. And women with them, even though I kind of thought they were a thing of the past, but they're not. Nylons. Nylon stockings are strong enough to have enough given them to make perfect tree ties. And that's all it says. So I don't know what a tree tie is. Let me see if I can find it in the back. Nope. So if anybody wants to look up tree tie, that'd be cool. If you don't find anything, that's okay too. And now we're going to talk about a use for horsetail. In this book, we've already talked so much about uses for horsehair. We learned that you can bury horsehair and your own human hair below your plants in the garden, lest none of the insects or aphids will be able to get to the roots and destroy them, because they'd literally throw themselves through a bunch of knives because horsehair and hair is so sharp. And also we learned about horsehair. What did we learn about it yesterday? Because 2 days ago we learned about that other thing. They used to make old horsehair mattresses, horsehair couches. Yesterday did we put it in a spell for the sea magic, I believe? Can't remember exactly. So here's another use for horsetail. Gerard says that horsetail was known, and this is a 16th or 17th century herbalist. Oh, thank you, Iridescency. She says, I guess tree ties are like super strong green tape. Okay, so, remember we were talking about tying something to the tree and coming back and it was gone, remember? Yesterday in the conversation, that's what we were talking about. And they were saying you could use horsehair to tie it on. You could use pantyhose too. Thank you so much for looking that up, Iridescency. I really appreciate that. So Gerard, who is a 16th or 17th century herbalist that they talk about a lot in this book from the UK, says that horsetail was known as pewter wort. Pewterwort. And that it was used for scouring pewter dishes and wooden implements in the kitchen. So living out loud, if you watch this later, you bought a pewter mortar and pestle from me, you could clean that with horsehair, if you ever needed to. It can also be used for cleaning aluminum if you run out of wire wool. Make a little stubby, two-ended brush out of 3 inches long by binding a bunch of the stems with 2 pieces of string about 1/2 inch apart. Both the sides and ends of this can be used. As it is to be hoped that you have eliminated it from the garden, look for it growing wild in damp places. So this is talking about horsetail, the herb, not horsehair. I apologize. I thought they were talking about horsetail hair right here. If aluminum saucepan has been burnt, first boil an onion in it and then pour off the scum and rinse well. Good to know. Okay, and then that is the end of that whole big section. We're going to stop there, and then I promised that we would read about stones out of the Hawaiian book. And then that's probably going to be the bulk of the video today. We've been keeping these book reading videos at like 2.5 hours, and that's been really, I've been enjoying that. How about you guys? Horsetail is dire for gardens. Okay, Bound and Butterfly, I'm going to talk to Alex about it. Because it sounds like we really need to get some. Yeah, Thomas, start your channel, man. Just do it. Like, do it today. Just start your first video today. So we are back to Scott Cunningham's Magic and Spirituality, Hawaiian. And we're on chapter 11 talking about stone. You guys like what I'm doing? Okay, cool. Good. I like what I'm doing too. So that makes me happy. So stones, otherwise known by the Hawaiians as pohaku, P-O-H-A-K-U, are possessions of mana. Some deities resided within the stones, and images of Almakao were carved from them. Ghosts would temporarily inhabit the rocks, and many humans were turned into stone by offended Aku. As one of the most versatile materials available for use on the volcanic islands, Pohaku was revered. Uses of Pohaku, or stones. Okay, good. Madam Butterfly says she loves what I'm doing too. Uncle Badger says I like the book readings. 2 or so hours is a good length. You feel like you cover a lot. Yeah, I really do feel like we cover a lot, and I like that we're doing like more than one book at a time, because that makes me feel like it's really hard to just go from page to page to page, but if we mix it up, it feels fun. So I'm liking it. Okay, so uses of Pohaku. The importance of stone to the Hawaiians cannot be overstated. It was used to make sinkers for fishing lines, octopus lures, and nets. Oops, shit. As anchors, poi pounders, hammers, axes, lamps, which held together strings of oily nuts that were burned, and musical instruments for the hula. Canoes and wooden objects were smoothed and polished with stone tools. Weapons made of stone were deadly. Stones were hurled at enemies using slings or were thrown in battle. Special stones, which were grooved and secured with ropes, were thrown to sink enemy canoes during battles at sea, then retrieved via the rope to be used again. War clubs were fashioned of carefully worked stones attached to wooden handles. Medicines were ground and prepared with stones. Stone, and I want to give you guys a chance. And if you need a clue, I can give you a clue. I'm going to stand with this candle real quick while somebody gives a guess, okay? That's funny. Did anybody guess? Nope, nobody guessed. Okay, well, that's it. I'm calling on somebody. I'm teasing. Okay, so the emu is the outdoor oven that they would, well, it's like an underground oven. If you've ever been to a luau where they serve a pig, on a, they wrap it all in banana leaves, and then they put it in the ground, and the ground has all these hot stones. And the stones are what, cook it. And so that oven is called the IMU, the underground oven. So stones were used for the emu, for cooking meats and vegetables, and hot stones were dropped into containers of water for cooking purposes. Piles of stones marked with distinct district boundaries and pathways. Stones were used in agriculture to line the kalo patches grown on dry land, and agriculture, the creation of temples. Architecture, the creation of temples. They were also used by the kahuna to teach the art of diagnosis. Games played with stones included kanone, from a form of checkers, ulu makai, similar to bowling, in which round stones are rolled through obstacles. It sounds more like croquet to me. And the ancient game of skipping stones on calm waters known worldwide. Stones were also of importance in what we would term magic, i.e. the uses of mana to produce astonishing results. Stones were also used by the kahuna for divination. This multitude of uses led to a saying, Hiola ka pohaku ahimek ka pohaku. And that means there is life in the stone and death in the stone. And I love that balance, and that's a really good representation of energy. Right-handed and left-handed, yin and yang, everything has both sides, good and evil. I have just as much evil as I have good, and so do you. And that's a good thing. Balance in the body is a good thing. So don't negate these parts of us that we need to embrace. Embrace the fact that everything has that balance, okay? The multitude of uses led to a saying, right? There is life in the stone and death in the stone. Though limited to volcanic varieties, Hawaiians knew at least 54 varieties of stone. Each type possessed distinct mana, which determined its proper uses. Prayer, offerings, and the inherent mana of the users enhanced the stone's power and intensified its effects. Now we're going to talk about stones and the aqua, A-K-U-A. Though any stone could be temporarily resting, Get out of there! Though any stone could be a temporary resting spot for an anumaka, or could contain the mana of goddess or god, some deities were specifically associated with stones. Kenopua, Keia, rolling or bursting, crackling stone, Kane, was a god of stones. Okay, so Kane, K-A-N-E, his full name is Kane Poha. He was a god of stones. This aqua was worshipped by warriors, Koa, who asked him to make them as strong as stones, as well as by farmers. He appeared in the dreams of his worshippers, and as a human with a stone head, but no images of him were made. A goddess worshipped locally in Kaua Island of Hawaii was known as the birth pebble of the koala. She was the creatress of the porous stones found in the beach of Kolau, Hawaii. Few things of the aqua were fashioned of stone, probably because lava is extremely hard and wood was much easier to manipulate with the limited numbers of tools available, like carving it, etc. Unworked, naturally shaped stones were sometimes used as images of the deities or aumakua. The presence of these stones were often revealed to their worshippers in dreams. Such images were generally rectangular in shape. A human-like face was often carved at one end, but other features were usually left uncarved. Families kept such aumakua stones hidden and secretly worshipped at them. Such stones are still safeguarded by a few old Hawaiian families today. Images of Ku'ula, god of fish and fishing, were usually water-worn, elongated stones. Such stones could also be worked until they had a fish-like appearance. When cared for, these stones rewarded their caretakers with successful fishing. They prepared to be wrapped in a lipoa, a type of seaweed. Other fishing stones also existed. These contained a spirit that was placed in them by the aqua, was invented by humans through ritual and offerings, or who simply took up residence within the stone because it desired to do so. These stones were not representations of Ku'ula. Fish-shaped stones were used for successful fishing and often were wrapped in lipoa seaweed. Such stones usually appeared in dreams to humans and chattered with them. and they often became quite attached to certain persons. Their locations were also usually revealed in dreams. Through the relationship between these fish stones and human was usually pleasant. If the stone became uncooperative or tiresome, the human simply took them out to the sea and dropped them off for the side of the canoe, thus ending the relationship with the stone. That's really quite interesting. Iridescent says your last trip to Hawaii was a sacred site that had a giant phallic stone. That's cool, and we're reading in the beginning of the book that phallic stones are a really common thing to see there in Hawaii as well. Oh, I went frozen. Sorry, guys, I was really focused on that thing. People lay offerings for fertility at that big phallic stone. Yeah, I bet. I bet that'd be a great place for that. So now we're on to talking about birth stones, and then healing stones, and then stones of fertility is the last one. And I'm guessing that we're going to be talking about those big phallic stones there. So birthstones. Oahu and Kauai possessed birthstones, to which chiefesses would go to give birth. So we're not talking about birthstones like the pearl is June. We're talking about birthstones like go give birth on this rock. This ensured that their children would be fully ali'i and would possess extra mana for having been born at such a site. These occasions were marked with great ceremony. And here's a picture of a birthstone. And underneath the picture it says, Koa, a Hawaiian board game played with black and white stones. Never mind, this isn't the birthstone, this is just a game. My bad. If a common woman managed to give birth at such a sacred stone, her offering would be considered to be ala'i. This was rare, however, since the birthstones rested on ala'i compounds that were kapu to commoners. The birthstones on Kauai are at the Holahulahuku Hija, just above the Wailua River. On Oahu, they can be found at Kukanaliko near Wahaiwa. Other birthstones include the famous Naha stone, now located in front of the Kilo Library on the Big Island of Hawaii, which is a young Kamehameha once lifted, and a stone on the grounds of Panusa School of Oahu. The navel strings of babies, aka the umbilical cord, navel string, I've never heard it described that way, but now I have. Every day we learn something new, hey? Hey. The navel strings of babies were often wrapped and placed in crevices in the stones and covered with tiny pebbles so that they wouldn't be eaten by rats. If this occurred, the child would grow up to be a thief. That's crazy! But I really do think it's cool to put your umbilical cord or your life string, navel string, embedded into a rock. I mean, that is cool. But I don't know if I do it because the other part of the legend is if a rat eats it, your child will be a thief. I don't know. Okay, now we're going to talk about healing stones. Here we go. Stones with modern or ancient associations with healing are found throughout Hawaii. One source states that they were usually located near the shoreline on each island, and that each of them was individually named. On Oahu, the Hawaiian healing stones are today housed in a small crypt-like structure at 108 California Street in Waihawa, after having been moved several times. Though little is known of their early history, the stones were originally located in Kukahinaluku, site of the birthstones mentioned above. During the 1920s, though, with the outbreak of World War II, what was going on in Hawaii during World War II? Do you guys know? I know that some of you know, but let's just, I want someone else to say it, and then we can move on. What was going on in Hawaii during World War II? Y'all. Hawaii during World War II? 2 words. PH. Come on, you guys. On the big island of Oahu. All right there on Waikiki Beach, I do believe. Bye, Ricky. Okay, so we are talking about Pearl Harbor. Yes, atomic bomb testing. I got the right idea. Yeah, so Pearl Harbor happened, and that was after we had bombed Hiroshima and one other place. So we let bombs, and then they came back with bombs, and that is when Japan lost its army. I mean, well, they didn't lose it. They resigned their army and joined forces with us at that point. But yes, it took it was just so much damage that happened. And when I was on on Oahu, which is not the Big Island, but when I was on Oahu as a kid, we went and we saw that whole like memorial, and they showed us so many movies, and it was crazy to learn about something that was going on there. So I just kind of wanted to just bring up like what else was going on during that time. So during the 1920s, through the outbreak of World War II, they gained a wonderful reputation as healers, and were visited by thousands of people. Offerings are still placed there on a regular basis. The Wizard Stones near Waikiki Beach, Waikiki Beach on Oahu is where Pearl Harbor happened. So the Wizard Stones near Waikiki Beach are far less famous. They too have been moved a number of times. They now sit unobtrusively on Kuio Beach, across the street from the Hyatt Regency Towers Hotel, about 100 feet from the Waikiki Police Station. They're being pretty specific, so if you're in Hawaii, take a walk over there. That whole area is great. Hit up an ABC store, perhaps get some musubi spam on the way, and just have a treat while you're walking. Only in Hawaii, right? These 4 stones are marked with a plaque describing their history. The stones were imbued with healing mana by 4 Tahitian healer magicians who visited Hawaii in the 1500s and performed miraculous healings, then departed for their distant home. Wow, that's amazing. I can only imagine the energy in those rocks at that point. Before leaving, each moved healing mana into the stone. The stones are named after these 3 wizards, and I'm going to try and pronounce their names. Kapemahu, Kahaloa, and Kapuni. Oh, and a 4th one. And Kinohi. There is some doubt today as to whether there were 3 or 4 men. 2 men and 2 women, or some other combination. These powerful stones, located in the heart of the tourist beach, are rarely visited today. At Lahaina on Maui, so Lahaina is like the big tourist spot. I was on Maui for a while. And then it's kind of like the opposite of Kihei, where I stayed. At Lahaina on Maui, a tilted chair-shaped stone is often seen at low tide in the harbor. This stone, known as the Kauoloa, was an ancient healing site. According to tradition, patients sat on the stone and allowed the salt water to wash over their bodies, thus remove any and all illness. Okay, now we're on to the last bit, which is stones of fertility. Okay, many stones contain powerful fertility or mana. Each island possessed at least one large phallic rock that, there you go, Madam Butterfly. That's where we talked about it. Each island possessed at least one large phallic rock that assisted women with its mana, or energy, to become pregnant. The majority of these stones have been destroyed, toppled, or otherwise forgotten. Why, though? Because they worked? Well, the most famous fertility stone in Hawaii today is the Kauleolana Hoa. Literally means the penis of Nanahoa. So that word I said, Kauleolana Hoa, it literally means the penis of Nanahoa. Located in Palau State Park on the island of Molokai. Molokai is close to Maui, I believe. It's the moon-shaped one. Is a massive clump of lava that sits 6 feet high, bearing a remarkable natural resemblance to the human penis. And you guys should all go Google and look at a picture of that rock right now. That would be so cool. Legend states that it was once a man, Nanahoa, who was turned to stone for abusing his wife. This phallic rock, as it's also known, was visited by infertile women who made offerings and spent prayerful nights at the base of the stone, or at the base of the penis. By morning, they were pregnant. Really? Really? Okay. Even without a man, like Virgin Mary pregnant, or like, I mean, were they doing it at the base of the rock all night? What exactly was happening? I want to know more about that, Scotty. Okay. Near the penis of Nanahoa lie 2 stone images, one female and one male. Whether these were artificially worked or not, I've been unable to discover. Women apparently left offerings at these images before going to the penis of Nanahoa. The mana of such stones, or the energy of such stones, continues to be respected today, as it is evidenced by the offerings still found at the base of the penis of Nanahoa. Most other phallic rocks have been forgotten or destroyed. Only this one remains as a highly visible reminder of early Hawaiians' concerns for human fertility. Even portable phallic rocks were apparently potent with fertility mana. Mary Kawani Piku relates the story of a woman who found a banana-shaped rock washed up on the beach. She brought it home, left it in a trunk, and forgot about it. She soon had many babies. So maybe if you guys are wanting to conceive, you could go out and find some phallic rocks and just have a little, like, fertility altar, you know what I mean? But it also seems like once people forget about trying to get pregnant, that's when they get pregnant. So don't stress out. You know, it'll come when it comes. Aw, thanks, Nello. Read along, yeah? Iridescent C says, Hawaiian kings were actually badass warriors who accomplished amazing feats. They believed in reincarnation and were not afraid to die. Well, I totally get that. I don't know how I feel about reincarnation and that, you know, I have a lot of mixed feelings on it. But I myself am not afraid to die, and that's why I work with Santa Muerte. But, you know, it just depends on the person and how you feel about death. I'm not afraid whatsoever. At the moment. You know, I can't say how I feel when I'm old and sick, but at the moment, I'm not. I see it as something beautiful that's to come. Okay, so we're talking about the portable phallic rocks and women picking up banana-shaped rocks on the beach. Upon finding the phallic pohaku, or rock, in the trunk, her family gave it away. The woman's continuous birth immediately halted. So she didn't even know that the stones were there. She completely forgot about them. The intention was there because she got them once, but then it was gone. And the minute that they got thrown away, her pregnancies ended. So normally we say it's only going to affect us if we know the truth, or if we know one thing about it and we start to manifest it in our mind. Not in this case, it doesn't sound like. Such phenomena weren't surprising to Hawaiians, for stones were understood to possess gender. Male stones included solid rock. lava, coarse and crumbly, and column-shaped or long stones such as the banana-shaped Pohaku rocks previously mentioned. Female stones included porous rocks, the ones that have holes, smooth-flowing, lava, loaf-shaped or round stones or rocks split with hollows. Certain types of stones were known to give birth. The finest of these were found at Punala'u Ka'u district of Hawaii. Female stones of this type are quite porous, covered with small holes. Male, and so let me show you a little thing. When I was out foraging the other day, right after I read the chapter on this, and we were talking about stones and hagstones and that. Here are three that I found up by the tracks. And these are, these porous stones. There's a hole that goes all the way through. And I like it how it's like even got a place for your cheek to sit. Where's my eyeball? Can you see my eye? Can you see my eye? Where's the camera? But you can see, right? There's my eye. So when you look through this hole right here, it's a way to view the other realm. It's a way to view fairies. It's a way to do a lot of different things. So there's one, and then this one has a hole that goes all the way through. It's really small. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. So these are porous stones. There it is. That stone, that hole right there. See it? So these are female stones. Where's the hole in this one? I know there's a hole in it because oh, there it is. Because I wouldn't have taken it. Can you see the hole? There it is. Right at the top. There's actually two. And you could put your two eyes up there and look through both. So anyway, these would be female stones because they're porous and they have holes through a lot of them. So, and these, I found these in abundance up by the railroad tracks. So if you guys need me to go collect any of those for you, you just say the word and we'll make an Etsy listing. But I want to do those collections for a particular person. I don't want to go collect a whole bunch and then sell them, if that makes sense. So just let me know if you want me to go collect some hagstones, especially for you. Alright. Certain types of stones, placing a male stone with a female stone and keeping them either wrapped in a kapa, which is bark cloth, or underwater, will result in the birth of pebbles, which might grow to become large rocks. These were then used, after proper ceremonies, as figures of the aqua, A-K-U-A. Pohaku rocks then were sacred to the Hawaiians. They were used to induce pregnancy, to bless births, to grow and prepare food, and to create temples to heal, to secure good fishing, to divine the future, and to pass the time, to win during battle, and for hosts of other uses. The mana, or energy, contained within the pohaku, or rock, as indicated by their many uses, was such that they became central to life in old Hawaii. And that is the whole of the chapter on rocks in my Hawaiian book. You guys, we spent almost 3 hours together talking through this book, which I absolutely adore. Thank you so, so, so much for that being gifted to the channel by Luna's Muse. And then from Tess donated these books to the channel, and we've been having so much fun reading out of those. So, and of course this one. All great books. Had so much fun with you guys. I hope to come on later and show some of these oracle decks I've been making, and then also talk about the 24-hour tarot-thon that I'm going to be a part of. So blessed. Thank you, Simon at the Hermit's Cave, for inviting me to be a part of that. And as soon as I find out the date on that, then we're going to set the date for my birthday party. That we're going to have an online YouTube birthday party for me the first week of June. Okay? Oh, and we just got a translation. Iridescent Sea. A-K-U-A means God or deity. Aqua. What I've been pronouncing aqua. AKUA. So thank you. I super appreciate that. Please let me come. I'd love to see your deck. That's hilarious. Yep, Gemini. You know it. I can't disclose my actual birth date because that would be dangerous because I have a YouTube channel. But it is the first week of June, and I am a Gemini. So we'll see you guys very, very soon, probably later on today. If you need hag stones, let me know. And to all the Geminis out there, so much love and light. And also, y'all, this has been burning for quite some time. Longer than most tea light candles, because we're almost on the second hour here, and that's just like not common. So this is working, and thank you guys so much for putting your energy into this candle for Madame Butterfly and her friend to pass through, because that's just such a young person to be abducted by Morpheus. If you guys need help with addiction magic, please, please, please let me know and say the word. I can either do workings, or I can light a candle, or I can give you ideas for workings, or we can go through some things together from Diary of a Drug Fiend, and talk about how we use magic to help with opiate addiction, okay? So much love and light to you guys. I don't want to say goodbye, but I have things to do, so I must. Let's say goodbye to Otis, and then we'll really go. Then we'll really go. Bye, buddy. We love you so much. Oh my gosh, we love you so much. We love you so much. Oh my gosh, I love you. You just never get tired of hearing that, ever. Do you, bud? You never get tired of hearing that. How's your earring? I found a cat claw in his ear the other day. He had another cat's claw in there. I actually still have it because it had blood on it. And there's a hole in his ear. Yeah, I got your ear hurt. Okay, bye everybody. We love you. Say bye.